this point in time, but it should be strong enough at least to talk to everybody there, so I'll drink a lot of water during this. Secondly, if you're watching this, in the description of the YouTube video, there's a link to a place where you can go ask questions, and go ask questions at that link. I'm going to try to pull from there rather than the YouTube comments. Not only should you go there and put questions, but thumb up other questions that are good, or thumb down ones that are stupid. And that way, you know, the other ones will fly to the top. Once I've answered one, well, I don't know how I can get rid of one myself, but so I'm going to start answering these. I think you guys can see me. Nobody has said that they can't see me, so I'm just going to assume that you can. So, or else you're having to watch a commercial, in which case I'm sorry. So I'm going to start answering questions, and then I'll check back on the YouTube feed in a bit to see if I'm just not talking to the computer. The first question is the question that I'm asked all the time, and that's, how do I find time for everything? I got 6 girls. I have a boy on the way, and it says it takes time to play games to make the videos, and that's certainly true. And just fact, this past Sunday, there was this scoffing comment of, all you do is play games. Someone said to me, that's all you do, you know. Some of us work for a living. It's a great job, it really is, but there is a lot of work involved. And I guess the answer to that is I just don't goof off much at all. I'm constantly doing something. Like today, I really went through and straightened up the whole room here, and went through and looked at games, a couple games, left my pile, and I'm constantly leaving the room throughout the day. I take small breaks all the time and go out and see what the kids are doing, since we homeschool them and keep an eye on them. So it's like all integrated on how everything works together. Next question. Well, before I answer the next question, let's go over and make sure that people can see it. The sound is really low, somebody says. Well, I believe I can fix that one. The sound should be higher, and I will also speak closer to the microphone. All right. Is that hopefully helpful? I'll come back later and check to see that it is. So what games am I looking forward to play? That's kind of a general, wide open statement. And the fact is, Amerigo, you can see it right there. Looking very much to playing that one. Also, there's a couple games that are above it. The Northwest Passage game. And there's this Countdown, which is a co-op special mission game, special forces mission, where you like go and you're trying to free hostages. That seems pretty cool and interesting. But you never know. Sometimes the games I think are going to sound cool and interesting really aren't, and others that I'm not a big fan of. Also, finally, I just got this in the mail today. I can play the second third of the Hobbit board game. Hooray! You know, this is I can almost play the whole board game. Although I think this plus the first one will actually make a pretty full board game. Also, the Hobbit movie's coming out soon. Woo! All right, let's go back and check. Let's make sure sound levels are better. It says, louder, please. Folks, I don't know I can make it much louder. This is about as loud as I can do it. Oh, maybe I can increase the volume on this. No, that seems like it's up all the way. Let's try this. Hopefully that's better. I don't know much more I can do. Okay, so anyhow, don't forget, for those of you who are watching for the first time, don't ask questions in the YouTube thing. There's a link in the description of the video, and that's where you can go ask your questions. And thumb up questions other people have asked. All right, so where we are. What is your biggest fear about the future of the board game hobby? I guess my biggest fear right now is that so many games are getting lost in the shuffle. Games that sometimes are quite good. I put together my list of my... hopefully no one can screen capture that, of the best games of 2013. I have 39 games on this list right now. And I think several of these games, these were 39 games that I consider to be in the top 10. And I think my top 11 through 20 would make a good top 10 for any year. This has been a year of amazing games. If you don't believe that, go back and just look on Board Game Geek and go through them. There's so many good games came out this year. Anyone who says that there isn't just has their head in the sand. The problem is, since there's so many great games coming out, a lot of good ones are getting lost. And so there's at least 2 in my top 10 that I think really haven't gotten as much notice as they should have. And quite a few that are in the top 39 completely, because there's just so many games coming out. So I fear that we're going to keep seeing this happen. Now, I'll tell you another fear, and this is one I think that's nothing new. I just fear that more and more people get frustrated with oh, there's so many games out there. I think I'll start my own board game company. I want to pick those people up and slap them for a while first and say, don't. Try your hardest until all other, because there's so many of these small board game companies that are like, ooh, we're starting a new board game company. We print one game, then we're done. Well, what was the point of that? So anyhow. All right, so that's my biggest fear, I suppose. I mean, it's not really a fear. I think the board game hobby is going to be doing quite well. Look how many games came out this year. I was going through the number of games I'd played, and I played over 200 new games this year. That's just phenomenal, and many of them were quite good. And that's not even counting all these that you see right here. Many of these games may be good, or they may not be good. I don't know, but there are certainly games that came out this past year. All right, what game do I feel offers the most bang for your buck in terms of amount and quality of components? I apologize. I don't really know. We did a top 10 list on bang for your buck games, but it's just really hard to determine that. It's easy sometimes to determine ones that don't give you a bang for your buck. Games that they simply, you get them, they cost a lot, and you only play it 1 or 2 times. But other than that, it's really what you like. Like Cosmic Encounter, that's giving me a really good bang for my buck because I play it so many times. But I also sometimes play other people's copies. So am I getting the bang for my buck? It's kind of confusing. Sorry. That's such a cop-out answer, I know, but it's just not worth it. All right. One of my gaming buddies, someone says, has terrible analysis paralysis and cause a chain reaction among other players. He's fun, and I like him, and he's family, but our games take way too long. What can I do? This is different for everybody. It all depends on that person. Some people, no matter what you say to them, are never going to change in this regard. They're never going to. You can tell them stuff all day long, and they will just keep going slowly. For me, what I do is I say, whose turn is it? Really loudly. I'll look and I'll keep saying, come on, we need to go. I don't want to be here all night. And I know it's naggy sometimes, and well, maybe more than sometimes. It's naggy, and I feel bad for it, but that is the only way that I can get people to continue to move on their turns. Because I don't like when a game takes twice as long as it should be, and over 50% of the time was one person's turn. That is unfun. And if that person will continue to do that, I will tell them I prefer not to play this particular game with you because you take a really long time and I want to get it done in 2 hours or so. Of course, that's a really tough thing to do. It sounds easier to say here in the video, harder to do in real life. So then, well, I don't know, avoid them. It's not a really good thing. But I think bringing the problem to their attention and continually bring it to their attention, it can be naggy, but it can also help them. All right. What are some good games to transition new players from the easier games to more complex games? I call those next step games. There's quite a few of them. Off the top of my head, we got Pillars of the Earth. In fact, that's a really good top 10 list topic, so I'll probably save that for then. In your opinion, how often should one win a co-op game? Base difficulty. So not the advanced difficulty, which often is like the very first one I try. I feel really good when we lose the first time. Many times we'll win the first time. Like we just won Freedom. The first time we played Freedom, we won it. And I said, wow, didn't seem like it was that hard. Then we realized we'd made an error and it was like, oh, we would have lost. Okay, good. And that always makes me feel better when I realize that we would have lost the very first time. Because I don't want a game to be too easy. I don't mind if I lose 80 times. So for me, the winning percentage, I don't care what the percentage of winning is. I should feel like I could have won. If I just known and made some better decisions, I want to feel like I could have won. If the dice had gone my way, if the card draw had gone my way, or if that guy over there just made better decisions, then I feel better about it. All right, let's see. Well, let's see. I invited my sister's boyfriend to my game group. The guys loved him, but eventually we discovered he cheated. What should I do? By the way, someone is mentioning, can I delete posts here? I see nothing on here that lets me delete a post, so I don't know how to delete the posts. If someone could tell me how to do that, but it's not letting me delete them. So there you go. That would be really useful if I could delete those, though. Hang on, let me see if I can figure out how to do it. But I am not... Let's see here. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to waste time. Sorry, I'm just clicking and not actually talking now, which is incredibly boring. Ah, there we go. I now see, now that I'm signed in, I can actually check things out. All right, so I will now start deleting questions. Great. Okay, so anyway, we were talking about someone cheating. Let's see if I can get to that cheating question. Oh, the cheating question's gone. All right, well, we'll get back to it when it comes back because I can't remember. All right, so someone said they spent $4,000. I'm really sorry. Save some of that money that you would have spent. Dice Tower Kickstarter is coming next week. Oh, hey guys, I want to show you something really cool. Okay, hang on one moment. Okay, first of all, we have the Dice Tower Kickstarter coming next month, and we have some cool stuff. If you see, if I tilt my head, you can see some Dice Towers up here. Oh, let me show you something else. I know not everyone liked the orange Dice Tower, but I combined it with the black. See the translucent orange and the black? What do you guys think about that? I don't know. I thought this one looked pretty cool. I'm thinking about putting this one on the Kickstarter. When I put it with the yellow, people told me it looked like a toy, but with the black, I think it looks better. Anyhow, I got promo Dixit card, and I got promo cards from Plaid Hat Games, but this is really cool. This here is an iron die, a custom metal Dice Tower iron die. This is neat. The problem is I only have like 60 of these things because apparently the mold breaks after a certain amount of dice that are made. So this is a once and done thing. So these will be for the higher tier on the Dice Tower Kickstarter, but I think it's a neat thing. Let's see if I can put it up here so you can see the... There you go. See the Dice Tower? That's an iron die. It's a die that's made out of iron. It's really cool dice. I'm a big fan of those. Okay. So, moving on. That's, I forget what it led me to talk about that. But this person says, can you tell us what we can... Oh, that was someone who spent a lot of money because of me. Well, I'm sorry. This person says, what can you expect from the Dice Tower Network next year? All right. Well, here's some of the things that I'm planning to do with Dice Tower. First of all, I am planning to improve the quality of what we have. The fact is, I don't have much more time. You know, ask me for anything but time. There's really, I can't do more reviews. We did do more reviews this year than we did last year. Probably 100 more reviews maybe. And that's good, and I'm glad for that, but I'm really pushing that. I'd rather make the ones that we have better. Also, I started 2 new podcasts, Board Game University and Dice Tower Showdown, and I like to see both of those get better as time goes by. But I do want to resurrect Dice Tower Steeple and have that come back. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's something I want to work on. I'm also going to make a series of videos, and I want to work hard on these and make these good. I want to make a series of videos to introduce people to board gaming. So that people who look at this hobby of board gaming, I want to make the video that you send to your friends. And you say, you want to know about this cool board games to play? You know, you want to understand about my hobby? This is what you should watch. And games that explains some of the different styles of games and overview. Hopefully that will come out really well. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I'm going to be doing some more top 10 lists next year. I might do one every week, and the every other week one will be Sam and Z, and the middling week one will be somebody else from my gaming group, because I have a lot of different fun personalities in my gaming group. So that's some of the stuff that you can expect to see next year, and you know, hopefully that will be, and like I said, I want to make everything that we're doing now bigger and better. I have my eye on new audio equipment. I would like to move to a 2-camera setup. So there's a lot of ideas that I have, but I found that ideas are best if you have like kind of an end vision goal. And my goal has been reached. For one thing, I was trying to get 1 million views a month on YouTube, and now that we're up to like almost 1.2 a month now, and that's pretty cool. But now I would like to see 2 million a month, but I want to see it better. I want to see us do a better quality job. So that's what you might expect next year. And more will come. Sometimes a thought comes to my mind, and I say, oh, it's a good idea, and I ruminated on it for a while. I've thought about having a gaming stories podcast, a podcast where I call up people and we talk, and they tell me a funny story that happened in their game group, or something funny that happened at a gaming convention, and it's like a 10-minute podcast of people just telling funny stories or interesting stories about gaming. I thought that was good, and then my wife and Eric both said something to the effect of, do you really need to start another podcast? And yeah, they're right. All right. Yes, that's a good question. Is my wife and son doing okay? Yes. However, this week, this very week, if you look at the weeks of pregnancy, the week that Jack was born and the week that Sonny died were exactly the same week, pregnancy-wise. And that is this week. So you can understand that we're somewhat concerned this week. I am no longer going to conventions for the next several months. I'm staying home just in case. The doctors are giving an ultrasound every week. So far, baby is completely healthy. Already weighs 3 pounds, I think. And so, yeah, it's pretty interesting. This Friday is my wife's birthday. So it would be good to have a good week. But thank you for asking. All right, what do I think are some of the biggest points in the hobby's history and most influential events, games, and people? Biggest points in the history. I'm going to do a top 10 list, but I can tell you right now, I've already said this before, I think the mid-90s was absolutely critical for 3 reasons. There was a combined 3 thing. One was the invasion of the Euro games, German games, from Germany. Settlers of Catan hitting the shores of America. That made a huge difference. And Jay Tummelson and the folks at Mayfair Games, they really did a big step. The second was the advent of Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering has allowed more stores to stay in business than anything else. Not only that, it took a game that just took the world by storm and which is still doing strong 20 years later. It's just mind-boggling how powerful that one game was and is. And then the third thing is the advent of the internet. The internet allowed us to finally be able to order games from all over the world. It allowed us to be able to talk to other people at board games. You didn't have to just accidentally run into them at game shops. In fact, the sleazy game shops, and I'm not saying all game shops are sleazy, but some are, and you didn't really want to go to them, but you went to them because it's the only place to play games. You don't have to do that now because we have Meetup and Facebook and all these other ways to meet people. So I think the mid-90s was the perfect storm. Now, did it all happen? That's just where it started. So I think that was a big deal. Will Wheaton. He doesn't know the Dice Tower exists. I don't know. But you know what? I will finally have a chance to ask him. Gamer in my game group, Jason Levine, won the auction for the Jack Vasel Fund. Rich Sommer set it up, called Will, and he said Will was excited about it. So I guess Will does know who I am. And Will's producer, Bo, he and I did a review of his game when it first came out several years ago, and so he was my helm on the ship at Board Game Geek Con when we played the spaceship game where we all blew up and died. So we'll see if Will Wheaton knows that, because Jason said he'll take me with him. Now maybe he'll change his mind and take somebody else. Maybe he'll meet a beautiful girl and take her instead. But here's holding out hope. Let's see. Also, I read Will Wheaton's blog, and he certainly talks legitimately about games and plays a lot of great games. I don't ever think he's not legitimately a gamer. If I hint it towards that, I apologize. All right, let's see. Oh, just real quick, for those of you who are just joining us, and wow, there's 200 people watching that, so that's pretty cool. For those of you just joining, if you want to ask questions, there's a link in the description. If you go there, you can ask questions, and the best questions get voted to the top, and I will just answer those and delete them as soon as I answer them. It's the fastest, and hopefully this will work well, and we'll use it in the future. And also, I've been not saying people's names because I just now noticed that people's names are there, so my apologies. So John says he just attended Board Game Geek Con. And can I compare the different major cons? Well, you know, we've talked about this. If you want to see new games, if you want to see just... You have two choices for that, really. Essen, which is just really a huge place with tons of new games, and you can play all these new games, and you can see all the games. And that's what that is. Gen Con is very similar to that, although there's probably more other things there at Gen Con, like there's True Dungeon, and there's a costume parade, and there's all kinds of crazy, and there's gaming 24/7 at Gen Con. At Essen, there's not necessarily the same thing. There's gaming at hotels, but it's not the convention itself does shut down. It's almost like a trade show. But they're both. That's what you want to see. If you want to play games nonstop, well, then you go to mostly regional conventions to do that, whether it's I'm afraid to list Geekway to the West and different ones. They're all over the place. Total Con and things. And then Origins is kind of the middleman game thing. That's where you can go and see publishers and see new games and play games. And Board Game Geek Con, I think, is now equal to Origins. It's certainly not the same size as Origins, but there's probably almost the same number of board gamers who go. Certainly, I actually quizzed the publishers, what do you like better, Origins or Board Game Geek Con? And it was about a 50-50. Some of them said, oh, I drop Origins in a heartbeat and go to Board Game Geek Con, and others said the other. Okay. Let's see here. What do you believe is the most effective way for a cooperative board game to deal with the quarterbacking issue in which one player can essentially dictate the best actions everyone at the table, says Matt? Well, there's a couple ways. One, you can play with my group. None of us listen to each other. Two, you can play with a traitor, which, you know, that way you're never really sure if the person telling you what to do is a traitor. Three, you can play with some sort of thing that pushes you to work on your own thing. Like Jeff Engelstein did this in Space Cadets, where I had to work on my own station, so I didn't have time to worry about what you guys were doing. And then there's other games that do different things, like the Death Angel Space Marines card game had a pretty cool one where you would draw a card and it gave you a choice, and you had to make that choice without consulting other players. You made the choice and then revealed the card. That's really a cool mechanism, and I haven't seen any other game do that yet, and I think that's a great way. All right. What caused you to stop liking Game of Thrones, the board game? And you know what? It's because I had a lot of bad experiences with it. I think, don't get me wrong, I think it's an excellent game. I think it's well designed. I think Christian Peterson did a great job. It certainly does a good job at portraying the Game of Thrones universe. But it's just too stressful for me personally. Just too many times. It's a long game, and when I was done, I was like, ah! I like negotiation. Fun, light negotiation. Negotiation that when it's over, no one really cares that much, you know. But Game of Thrones just was so involved. So it's a great game, just not for me. My girlfriend wants to play with me, but she's not really a gamer. What's the best easy starting point? Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, Settlers of Catan, Pandemic. Those are the four that I would say right off the top of my head. That, of course, everybody else would recommend those too. But honestly, you need to find what they like. And so, there's that. Why don't Sam and Z do reviews on their own? Well, mostly because they have jobs. Doing a review. Now, look, here's the deal. And I don't want to get into this whole reviews are hard and feel bad for me. But reviews are a ton of work. The easiest way to do a review would be for me to get the game out, talk about the game, tell you what I thought, record that, post it on YouTube. That's very easy to do. In fact, some people do that. Then you can explain the game and go into detail. For me, the hardest part of a review, well, there's two hard parts of a review. One is setting the game up and explaining it, because I'm always scared I'm going to make a mistake, and I do so much, and people always tell me every minor mistake. You know, if I say you need to draw 8 cards and it was supposed to be draw 7, people will tell me that my viewpoint was wrong. I would have liked it so much more if we had drawn 7. So I'm always cautious. And sometimes I even play the game right, but I say a rules error or I miss a minor point. So I deliberately don't explain every rule of the game much anymore because that's not the point of the review. My point is I just want to give you a feel of how it goes. But that takes a lot of time. The opinion part, that's easy. I can spout that stuff off at the top of a hat. The drop of a hat. The other hard part is editing. Editing is a ton of work. So for Z and Sam to do their own reviews, either I would have to edit their reviews and they would have to do rules explanation, or I would do the rules explanation and then just they would do the review part of it. Okay, well, if I'm going to do the rules explanation, then why wouldn't I just join them for the review? So that's why. That's why I don't do their own. If they wanted to do their own at home and give them to me, and I would do them, but they're very content, I think, with how we do it now. Also, all three of us are really loving doing those top 10 lists, and they do seem to be somewhat popular. One of them's about to hit 200,000 views, which is pretty cool. Still a drop in the bucket compared to most videos, but it was cool for us. Let's see. Okay, any news or information on live gameplay? All right, this is what we're going to do, I think. Don't hold me to this, but it's coming into fruition. What we're going to do over the Christmas break, when Sam and Z have off, probably, is we're going to have a live 24-hour thing. So I'll put this camera here, I'll back off, and you can see us playing around this table. Something like that, I think, for 24 hours. That seems really boring for you guys to watch that, but we're going to do it. I'm not sure I can make 24 hours. It's been a long time since I've done such a thing. I have stayed up. Yeah, I don't know the last time I've stayed up 24 hours straight, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try my hardest. And we're like, well, who are we going to invite from our gaming group? And finally hit me, let's invite everybody. But they just have to come in different shifts. We'll see who's interested in that. So maybe we'll have them like come over in 6 hours at a time and play with us. We have different people in our gaming group. So that is our kind of plan. Once I have it finalized and a date for it, I'll let you guys know. Let's see, what are the top themes you'd wish to see explored through games in the future? Well, you know, after playing Steam Park, I realized how much I love the idea of amusement parks, and I wouldn't mind seeing that and the circus and, well, maybe even the zoo. Fun things like that, running a museum. Not the boring nonsense, but really cool stuff. I'd like to see more games that are like layouts. Like think Vegas Showdown, but not necessarily about a casino. Maybe running a mall. More simulation type games. I think those would be a lot of fun. What is the most, Josh says, unique, innovative game released in 2013 that you've played? Well, that would be spoiling. I have it listed right here. Innovative games. I have two of them, my winner and my runner-up. So you'll have to listen to the Dice Tower end of the year show. That's when I'll talk about that. Sorry, I don't want to spoil that now. And besides, there's always the chance that I will play something else that's innovative before then. Are you ever going to do videos of gameplay from your gaming group? Just said that. All right. What is your favorite victory point marker, token, or otherwise component? I have so many ones that I like to use. You know, one of the ones I use a lot are the HeroScape tokens. I have one sitting right here. They stack really easy on top of each other. I use these a lot for hit points. I have a lot of tokens. I mean, many of you have seen my white shelves over here where I have all sorts of different pieces in there. So I pull out whatever piece I think is most thematic if we don't have one. And Litco and other places makes custom ones, so that's always good. Do I have any thoughts on the viability of the emerging trend of pay-what-you-want microgames? And could this promote a plethora of expedient but lazy game design? Well, man, I wish... There's some questions I wish people wouldn't ask me because I have opinions on these things. Hang on. I don't think the pay-what-you-want model is viable in the long run. I believe the pay-what-you-want model is simply advertising for that company. And it's a way to get goodwill. If I say pay what you want, and I'll give you 2 cards here, and as long as I make some money, then you're happy, I'm happy, and you think my company is great. Will we see the pay what you want work with bigger games? No, that's not going to happen because no matter how many honorable people out there, there are a lot of cheapskates who will pay the minimum that they can pay. And there are actually people who are honorable, but they just say, well, you said pay what you want. For me, I like that suggested donation, because when you say suggested donation, I think, oh, that's probably the amount I should pay. And it does seem like a lot of work. So I'm not worried that a lot of people will do it because that's a lot of work you have to do. Even if people are paying and it's just a few cents, you still got to do all the logistics and send it out. That's a ton of work. So I don't think it will take that I don't think it'll be that huge. Coin Age, you know, being one. In fact, Ryan Metzler did a preview of Coin Age, so that will be going up on the Dice Tower tomorrow. And the dungeon, I mean, I think it works for those smaller games like that. And both of the, well, at least Michael Mendez says, I talked to him about it, and he says it was working well for them. So that's good, but I don't think we'll ever see it get out of these little micro games. And honestly, think about it this way. If you spend $1 or $2 on a game and it wasn't as good as you want, you're just going to go, whatever, it was $1 or $2. We know that's fact because of the app stores. People spend $1 on an app and it doesn't, that was no good. They don't get upset and demand their $1 back because it was just $1 or $2. So I think it's the same thing. What game am I looking forward to most in 2014? You know, that's not nearly as a big of a deal as it once was, because I don't know about most of them coming out. I don't even look really to see what games are coming out in the news. I'll say the Marvel Dice Masters game from WizKids. I love it, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Dark, Darker, Darkest from Plaid Hat Games, and also the Legacy game from Rob Daviau and Plaid Hat Games. And there's like 4 or 5 other games I'm looking forward to that I really am not allowed to talk about, so that's kind of mean. So let's go to the next one. And it looks like my question thing is not working. Hang on one second. One moment, folks. It appears my questions. Alright, looks like the question thing is not working as well. But anyway. Is it a requisite to be a Christian to be in a Dice Tower network? No, I never said that, and I don't know why that would even have... where would that have come from? I mean, I'm a Christian. I don't make any secret of that, but I wouldn't require that. It's not a requisite to be a man either, or to be an American, or, you know, anything. There's... Anyway. All right. What games are Sam always saying is out down at Catan? Sam's not here, so sorry. Not my question. Guys, I'm having a problem. This question thing doesn't seem to be updating for me at this point in time. The backchan.nl doesn't seem to be working, so I don't know why. So I'm going to answer the questions that are here, and then hopefully this will reboot soon enough. I keep trying. Let's see if it will. I'll open it in another tab, see if that helps. Nope. All right, anyway, but at least I'm still streaming, right? Good. Oh, it froze for you too? Well, excellent. Okay, anyway, well, I can still answer the questions that aren't here. We broke it. Yay us. Anyhow, when's my next top 10 list coming out this Thursday? It's going to be our top 10 stocking stuffers, which is a way of saying our top 10 small games that we like. So you can look for that. Do I still play Android Netrunner? Yes, I do. Not nearly as much. I've given up on collecting every pack. I just buy some of the ones I think look interesting. What theme? People always ask me these things about the themes all the time. I keep answering a different answer each time, trying to make it interesting to you. All right, let's see here. Do you think having YouTube celebrities for live gameplay would grow the Dice Tower in a desirable way? No, not really. I've always thought... Okay, I think if I had celebrity friends, I would try to get them to play games, because sure, that would grow the hobby. But I don't care that there's no big celebrities who play games. When I played games with Rich Shammer, like at Board Game Geek Con, or do things with him, I do them because he's a really fun gamer. I don't really care that he's famous on Mad Men and what have you. And so I think it's important that we should be trying to get people who are excited about games into the hobby. People who can promote gaming in a good and meaningful way. Yeah, it looks like the question thing is now busted, folks. So I'm going to just answer the ones that I can see and the ones I want to. And if it ever comes back on, it does. Although we're getting close to the end of this anyway, because I don't want to make this go on all night. Oh, no, we're not. It's only 7:05. Sorry. We got plenty of time. Don't worry. All right, what are... Oh, you found it. Oh, the cheating question. Here it is. You invited my sister's boyfriend. The guy's on, but eventually you discover he cheated. What do you do? Well, did you confront him would be what I would say. I mean, if someone's cheating, you need to talk to him about it. and find out, because people cheat and you need to talk about it. And if you know they cheated and they refuse to admit it, that's it. They're out. Simple. That's a no-fly zone. But if they like, oh man, I'm sorry, I was, whatever, and they apologize, I'd give them another chance, because it's not that big of a deal for me. I played games where I wondered if people have cheated, whether they accidentally took more money from the bank. Most games I play, everyone takes their own money from the bank and points and scores everything, and I don't keep track of everybody to see if they're following the rules. But I suppose someone could be cheating, but I don't really care that much because I'm there to have fun. But it's tough dealing with a cheater. What are my other favorite hobbies? Movies, books, sports? No, not sports, sorry. I'm not a huge sports fan. I like the thought of sports. I think watching like football plays unfold is neat. A soccer play. I like the idea. Baseball is my favorite sport by far. I think it's interesting. It's kind of like baseball is like a game. The pitcher gets up. What kind of pitch is he going to throw? The batter. What kind of way is he going to do? What is the first base coach telling you? It's the closest sport to a board game. That's why I like it. But my other hobby is music. I love music. I have a gigantic collection of music, but I barely listen to it anymore because of Pandora. Pandora has just been fantastic. I have it in both my car stereos, so when I'm driving, I can just listen to it, and I'm constantly finding new music and able to thumb up and thumb down. I'll never want to listen to it again. And I never hear this stuff in the same order. I don't know. It's a big fan for me. I like movies still to some degree. Hobbit. And I like some TV shows, and I love to read. I read a lot. Constantly reading anything I get my hands on. I love to read political fiction. I love to read science fiction and fantasy fiction to some degree. And I also love to read on the internet. I read all sorts of things that I find interesting. I'll read about how science works. I'm constantly trying to improve my knowledge of the world in general. Keep up with the news. The news can be depressing, but keep up with it to some degree. Read different people's thoughts on things. I read a lot of biblical stuff because as a youth pastor, I read a lot of articles about games. I can read really fast, so that's probably my biggest hobby. All right, let's see. What about, a Kickstarter question. What do you think about all the Kickstarters? Everyone does a Kickstarter, even if they have the funds to make the game by themselves. Well, that ship has sailed. People are going to make a Kickstarter. There's no way you're going to know if they need the funds or not. There's no way we can really determine it. So forget about that part. Just look and see, is the game going to be a good game? Do you want to back it, or can you wait? If you think they have the funds to make it, then you don't need to Kickstart it. Just wait till it comes out and buy it. To me, it's kind of a non-issue. If you really feel that bad about the struggling Kickstarter people, then go help them. But if and you're worried about the big companies getting in, then don't support the big companies. So, I mean, to me, it's just that it's a non-issue. If it bothers people, you can be proactive about it. What do Sam and Z do for a living? Sam is the Bible history teacher, Bible/history teacher at a Christian school, and Z is in the public school system and teaches drama. And I think that's all he teaches. I think he could give a better answer than me. Would you mind if I approach you with vicious fishes and nothing personal for your autograph for the next con? No, I don't mind signing stuff. If you want someone to write all over your game, go for it. So that's not a problem. Let's see. Do I have goals for the Dice Tower Network? Not really. I'm really happy with the Dice Tower Network as it is. I don't actually recruit people for the Dice Tower Network. They usually come to me and ask to be included. I mean, at the beginning, we recruited a little bit, but we have so many folks now that it doesn't bother me if no one else ever joined. That's not to say I'm opposed to new people joining. I don't mind new stuff coming in, but I just want it to be consistent and family-friendly. And so you have to have 10 podcasts recorded to come. And even then, sometimes, like there's a podcast who wants to join right now. I'm going to let them join, but we're going to wait to the beginning of the year because of some Christmas stuff we're doing and things. And also, I don't want podcasts to be like all added at one time, spread out. That way people can find the new podcast that they want. So my goal for the network is that it just stays relevant. Let's see. This one says, kudos for using backchan.nl. Well, I don't know that it's going to be so much kudos when it doesn't work at all. All right. Wow, there is certainly a lot of questions here, but I am now going to be switching over to YouTube so you can ask your questions on the YouTube question thing. If the backchan.nl comes back online, someone can let me know because I'm not going to keep checking it every 5 seconds. So if it comes back online, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to go back to YouTube. So let's see here. I'm just going to look at the comments on YouTube, and I'm going to pick out the ones I think are interesting and answer those. All right. What's your best advice for a board game designer's debut game to get into your hands and for you to review it? Put it in the mail and send it. That's the best way to get it in my hands. Now, make sure it's published, of course. Don't send me a prototype. I will set those aside. I did prototypes this year and last year, and I think a little bit the year before. So 2.5 years now I've been doing prototype previews. I have about 4 more I need to do, I think, at this point, that are leftovers from the Kickstarter and that people pay me to do and just whatever. And so I'm going to finish those up, and then I'm done. I'm done with the prototype thing. And let me just be honest, the main reason I'm done with it is because I do not like it. The prototype, it takes a ton. It takes about 5 times as long to do a prototype preview as it does to do a game review. And prototypes are not nearly as fun to play as finished games. The components are usually pretty weak. The rules aren't written well. I have to many times call the people to figure out how the game works. And then when I'm doing the preview, I have to keep my opinion to myself to some degree. And I kind of like to go off on a bad game every once in a while. I can't do that. But they take up a ton of time. That's the biggest thing. They take up a ton of time, and they just don't generate the excitement in me that the published games do. So Dan King, Game Boy Geek, is going to be picking that up with Ryan. So they'll be doing previews over 2014, and I'm going to have more time to work on reviews. I haven't done many previews over the last month, and hopefully you have seen a very big increase in reviews because of that. So that's the deal with previews. All right, but the question was, how do you get a game in my hands? Well, if it's published, you can send it to me. I would make the publisher do it, though. He's the one who makes money when it sells, so make the publisher send the game. Let's see. Are you thinking of upgrading any video equipment soon? Yes, I am. My goal is to raise enough money in this next Kickstarter. I am currently using an iMac, and I would like to upgrade to a Mac Pro. It's a much more powerful device. This computer is constantly freezing and going slow. I edit sometimes 7 or 8 videos a day, and that editing is just, it slows the whole computer down. It takes a long process. I like it to be faster and get it done so I can get more done. And also, I would like to move up from iMovie to Final Cut, and learn Final Cut and use that. And then I also like to get, I don't know that I necessarily need a better camera, but I do need to get a better room with better lighting. As you can see, this hat casts somewhat of a shadow, but you can see the lighting here isn't very good. And this is just not, this is an enclosed garage. It's just not really made for this sort of thing. I need a better area to be able to review games in. So those are the things, those are the changes. So I'm planning on moving soon to find a house with something better like that in it. Of course, with the baby being born soon, that kind of throws a wrench into that. So those are the upgrades that I'm thinking about making. Of course, that means our Kickstarter needs to be successful. Any good courtroom themed board games out there? Huh. I don't think so. Huh. Maybe someone else can type one in the comments because I can't think of any right now. You don't like to play games where people get eliminated because it puts players off. Well, I would say it depends on the length of the game. Like Bang the Dice game, King of Tokyo. Who cares if someone gets eliminated in that? Because they're going to sit out for 5-10 minutes. It's not a big deal. Long games, yes, that is a big deal. And so is pseudo-elimination. And that's when someone gets kicked out of the game because essentially you can't win. But that's even worse but you're still stuck playing the game for the next 2 hours. Diplomacy, where they'll keep somebody alive. They'll let them have their one area, and they refuse to kill you, so you still have to write your order out every turn. Now that's even worse than elimination. Let's see. What fueled you and Sam to teach in Korea, and then finally to move back? It says here, life seems one awesome adventure. May not be as awesome as you think. I've been carjacked. I've had A couple kids die. I've had there's been a lot of interesting things. I don't know that awesome, but it's certainly been interesting. It would be a good word. I went to Korea to teach. My father-in-law, he moved to Korea a few years before my wife and I got married and started a school up there. And he kept asking me to come work for him. And I said that I would never work for my father-in-law. But just things worked out that way. And I said to my wife, all right, we'll go out there for 6 months. And we'll work there short term and then come back. And we loved it so much that we stayed there for almost 10 years and then came back. Yeah. Although I still would not work for my father-in-law again. That just not, you shouldn't, working for family can be a pain in the neck, possibly. Maybe. Not for me, of course. Hey, I never did look at the comments. Did you guys like that orange and black dice tower? Was that good? Bad? All right, well, I don't care that much. I'm just trying to get an idea. This is what I'm thinking about doing for the Kickstarter. I'm thinking about doing a black and black dice tower, a clear, one that's clear and with blue as the inward ones, and then a green one maybe, and then this one I thought of. I don't know. I just think it looks cool, but maybe I'm the only one. Well, I have one, so yay. But anyway, I forget what we were talking about now. How I went to Korea. Well, that's how I just said that. Oh, Sam. Sam came to Korea because I kept writing him emails and calling and saying, this is really great. You should come out here. This is so much fun. I love it out here. So that's how Sam came out. Will we ever see a Ryan, Sam, and Z reunion? A Ryan, Sam, and Z reunion. I'm not sure that they've all been in the same place at the same time. Oh, yeah, they were. We were all at Dice Tower Con together. That's right. Yeah, we'll probably Dice Tower Con again this year. Dice Tower Con is the Dice Tower thing. By the way, sign up now. If you haven't signed up for Dice Tower Con, I need to be saying that at my board game breakfast. But it's going to sell out. It is going to, 100% sure, it's going to sell out. So you better sign up. All right, let's see. Halloween themed. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. Let's see. Do I advise people want to start a board game club in a small town? Well, I mean, it depends on how you want to start it. If you're comfortable inviting strangers to your home, then like I am, I don't care. I'll invite people to come play at my house and such. Then that's a good way to do it. Use Meetup, Facebook. Meetup is a great way to do it because people are constantly looking for meetup groups in their area. And we've attracted a lot of people to our game group through Meetup. I think it's a very powerful tool, and you should certainly look to use it. Who is my favorite board game reviewer outside the Dice Tower? Oh, that's tough. I think my favorite board game reviewer outside Dice Tower, because obviously I like a lot of people, and that's why I get them to come into Dice Tower. Let's see. I think I would have to say Joel Eddy. I think he's the best. He's very thoughtful. He comes across sometimes as very serious in his videos, but he's really fun. I mean, I spent time with him at Gen Con, a great time. Yeah, I would take him in the Dice Tower Network if I could. He keeps scooping me on games these days, but I think he does an excellent job. He's probably the best. There's some other people that I like. Some people I think are too positive, something that was accused of me quite a bit when I started out. But yeah, I think his are the best. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see. Looking. Sorry, guys. I need to. What is the best way to learn how to play a complicated game? Have someone else teach it to you. That's. I found the best way, if you don't understand it, is to, if the game comes, many games that are complicated come with rules like a sample 2 turns. Set those up and play through those. That really helps out a lot. Look for videos online. Most complicated games have someone teaching it online somehow, some way. And if all else fails, then just set up the board game and pretend you're playing a game by yourself before you teach it to other people. The single longest game of anything I've played in one setting, of course, has been Twilight Imperium. I think, although as kids we might have played some Axis and Allies games that lasted forever too. Those are hard to remember. But probably Twilight Imperium. I know I played that for 9 hours once. The ideal game snack food menu? Oh, definitely pretzels. Pretzels are great. You can spill them. I mean, the worst is some salt gets on the board, but not a big deal. Everyone likes them until everyone starts dipping them in a ranch dressing or something, which is a delicious thing. But to me, they're the best snack. They very rarely have people complain about them. And there's some really good ones. Those braided honey ones, oh, those are delicious. I just had some pumpernickel twist pretzels. They were fantastic. And if you're lucky enough, see, I live in Florida now, which is a great place, but it's not a great pretzel place. For those of you lucky enough to live in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania is the king of pretzels. There are so many small potato chip and pretzel companies. So many. When you go to the snack aisle there's like 8 or 9 different potato chip pretzel companies, and they're all great. Nobody in their right mind buys Lay's potato chips in Pennsylvania. That's insanity. There's so many other good ones. But for the rest of the country, we're stuck with like 3 flavors. It's unfortunately. But I'm telling you, there's some good ones. Goods, Charles chips. There's so many. Anyway. Hers, and there's a lot of good companies in Pennsylvania. We're totally not talking about games now, sorry. Well, yeah, we are. Snacks for games. If you live in Pennsylvania, you're in luck. Dual language game components. Do I like or dislike it? Well, I have to say it's kind of irritating when a company should have put text on the cards, but they decided not to so that they could sell the game in as many languages as they want, and yet you sit there and go, I have no idea what that card, those symbology means. And I know the company does it to save money, but sometimes even worse is when there's 2 languages on the cards. One of the biggest things about this is Bang. Bang is Italian and English. And so we're constantly playing the card. Like, what does that say? Oh, the English is below it. That's a minor annoyance, though. I'd rather that happen than there not be a game at all. Some of the Japanese games have Japanese and then tiny English underneath it. But again, at least I can play the game. Sue, you live in PA and you like Lay's? Oh, that's so sad. You have so many other better choices. Well, that's okay. Some people like Flux too. Lay's is the Flux of the game of the potato chip world. No, that wouldn't make sense. Lay's is the Monopoly of the potato chip world. You can quote me on that. All right, what's a good D&D in a box game? Descent. Also, the Super Fantasy. That's pretty fun. All right, what do you think about Shut Up and Sit Down? They really love you. Well, they were part of the Dice Tower Network at one point. We were certainly glad to have them. They left the Dice Tower Network not because of any falling out, because they were part of Penny Arcade, and Penny Arcade wanted exclusivity. I didn't know they really loved me. I think they do a fantastic job on the reviews. They're funny. My wife likes watching them better than she likes watching our stuff, so I guess they win in that regard. They really love us? That's nice. What do you think of playthrough reviews like Rahdo or Watch It Played? I think they're fine. They're definitely not for me. Rahdo's reviews, or Rahdo runs through it, they're called, those drive me nuts because the shaky cam. I don't like shaky cams in movies or TV shows. I certainly don't want to watch a game being played like that. But also because I get kind of antsy watching them. And Rodney is fantastic. I would have said Rodney earlier when you asked me the best review outside Dice Tower Network, but he doesn't actually review as much as he shows games, and Rodney's awesome. But again, it's almost like, I watch and it's kind of like, okay, what's next? Maybe I'm ADD. I just rather read the rules and do it myself. But I think they're useful tools for people. So if Rodney has done a Watch It Played video of a game you want to know how to play, there's nobody who's going to do it better. Although, Peter Krause on the Dice Tower Network, he just started doing videos for us. You go watch his video that he did last week of Pax Porfiriano, and wow, amazing. So he's also quite good. How big is my impact on publishers? Do they often take your opinion about prototypes in consideration? Well, it all depends on the publishers. Some publishers do not care one whit what I think. Others do. I often tell them that they shouldn't, but I often will tell them, this game is good, check it out. I've gotten a few games published over the years by introducing different people to the publisher or telling a publisher, pick this game up. But I don't think I have as big of an impact as I think. And I don't think it's that big of an impact. I think that the Dice Tower has sold a lot of games over the years for different publishers, but I wouldn't be so hopefully egotistical to say that we've had a huge impact. Cool Stuff says that we have a big impact on the amount of games that they sell. when we say a game is good, that they sell more of it. So there is that, and that's nice of them to say that, but I'll never be able to really judge how that works. What race would you like to see in another Fleet Captain's expansion? Borg. No question. Borg. Love the Borg. Well, I hate the Borg, but, you know. Can the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund run longer, like a month? Well, it did run a month. I'm assuming I'm at the auction. The Jack Vasel Memorial Fund is year-round. You can always donate to it at jackvasel.org. So it's always around. But things that run longer than a month tend to drag down. In fact, for Kickstarters, if you're going to run a Kickstarter for a game, I would always recommend you to do it for 1 month. Don't go longer than a month. I mean, you say, oh, but if I do 60 days, I'll get so much more money. Not really, and also people get tired of waiting and waiting. It seems like the auction never ends. A month is really perfect. Okay, do I have a favorite mainstream game as a kid? Solar Quest. Solar Quest. Snyder, that's right, Snyder. In fact, my mother's maiden name is Snyder, so I don't think it had anything to do with the Snyder's chips, but yes, Snyders are great. Let's see. Is Rampage enjoyable for 2 players? Yeah, it's okay. I don't even recommend it with 4 players. I recommend it with like 10. 4 people get to play, and the other 6 people watch. That's super fun. Do you prefer recording, watching video reviews of games, or writing, reading reviews? I read and watch, really. I listen a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't watch that many video reviews, mostly because I'm currently editing something, and editing and watching, and like I said, I need a more powerful computer. Do I prefer recording them over writing them? By a million miles. Although I will say, when I first did, I said, wow, doing a video review is so much faster and so much easier than writing a review. When I wrote a review, I'd write it, I'd edit it, then I'd give it to my wife, and she would edit it, and all that. And when I reviewed it, I just talked. So talking so much easier than writing. Now I spend way more time on any video review than I ever did on any written review, but that's just the way it is. It was a big step for me, but I'm glad I took it because the internet certainly went that direction. And so I'm always looking at the internet. What is going to be the next big thing? I mean, video reviews. What will be next after that? You know, what I want Dice Hour to never get stuck in a rut. Be the same. We want to change and make things better. Can I tell from the summary of a game whether it is good or not? Usually. But I'm often surprised. In fact, a game I was just surprised about is Prosperity. Looked at the box, read the back of the box. I was like, Reiner Knizia, it's really fun. Really fun. So, that's a cool game. I'll be reviewing that probably this week, actually. Oh, backchan is back. Hooray! All right. Everyone can now go back to the link in the description, and you can ask questions there for the next 15 or 20 minutes, then we'll shut this down. When's my next top 10 list coming out? Thursday. Boom. What game has the hardest and worst rulebook to understand? Nothing personal. No, not really. Although it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. And again, I'm sorry for that. The hardest rulebook to understand, there's a lot of them. ASL. The worst one was the one... no, I don't want to... nothing personal. I'm an English teacher and I have a passion for board games. I'd like to use more board games and mechanics in the classroom. Can you give hints on which games or mechanics lend themselves for educational purposes? That's a whole podcast. I'll do that sometime. Maybe I'll do a Q&A. It's just for teachers. But I've done a video online that you can watch on the Dice Town Network about how to use board games in the classroom. And I give a lot of tips there. But there's so many things to talk about. How you need to make sure everyone's involved, and you need to keep them involved. I use diplomacy to great effect. I hate the game itself, but it works really well in the classroom. I've used games like Apples to Apples, where I had big teams. I've used many different games and managed to make them fit the whole classroom. What do you think of the result of the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund money? It raised $62,000. You know what? I think it's good for 2 reasons. One, because wow, it's a lot of money, and that's fantastic. But 2, we have gotten more requests for assistance from the Jack Vasel Fund over the last couple months than we've ever had before. And I don't think it's good that people are in need. But what I think is happening is people who are in need suddenly realize that the Jack Vass Memorial Fund existed. And I think that's a really good thing. You know, we're kind of a limited fund in the fact that we help people in a specific thing. We can't help everyone we'd like to, but we'd be out of money in, on a day. So it's for gamers. It's for gamers who suffered a catastrophic, some sort of financial hardship, not of their own making. And then we voted on that, and we sent out several checks over even the last couple of weeks to different people who needed help. But I think it's a great thing, and I said it before, but I'll say it again. Thank you, everybody. In our gaming group, we have a power player. Whenever he knows that we are playing something new, he goes online and studies the winning strategies to have an advantage. What do you think we should do as a group? Don't tell him what you're going to play. Tell him if he keeps doing that, you're going to stop playing with him. I would be very strict on that. Also, I wouldn't worry about it so much. Let him have his victory. I'm just playing to have fun. Any chance we get a glossary video? Yes, that's coming. I said that at the very beginning. That's something that we're going to try to be doing in 2014. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this video, for the 264 of you watching right now, if you have a question, do not ask it in the YouTube comments. There's a link in the description of the video where you can go to backchan.nl. There's a link there, and you can ask your questions. And then you can vote on the other questions that other people answer and ask them up or down. And that way the good ones rise to the top, and the dumb ones, no one sees it. What is Melody's favorite color? Blue, by a mile, blue. I know that. She always plays blue. Always. So if you make a game with no blue in it, she will not be happy. What's a good way to explain Duel of Ages 2 to new players? Is there a way that doesn't take half an hour? Well, it depends on who you are. Duel of Ages comes with a scenario thing, and you can run through each of these minor scenarios, and that will teach you all the rules of the game. For me, Duel of Ages, when I teach it to new people, it's one of those games that I'll go over through much of it. I'll try to be as quickly as I can, and then we just start playing. I'll say, this is what you can do on your turn. And go through it. It's one of those games that there's games that be taught different ways. Duel of Ages is one of those that you teach just by it happening. How did you become a Blue Jay fan? Because I like the Blue Jay logo / colors. Also, I'm kind of rebellious in that I hate to like my hometown team, and so I never really was a big fan of the Philadelphia teams, although now that I'm away from Philadelphia, I have this soft spot for them. And now the Dolphins, my favorite football team, I'm in Miami, so go figure. But I don't know. I like some of the players in the team. I was really big into baseball as a kid, and I just kind of, it was almost a random thing. I thought it was just fun. Any good game about chemistry? There's a few, but not many. And in fact, I can't even think of one off the top of my head. Did it die again? Alright, whoever recommended this site to me, shame on you, because it's gone down twice now. It's not like there's that many Dice Tower listeners. There's 270 of them online. And I doubt all of them are going there. So, back to the YouTube questions. Boo! Boo was working so well. Alright, anyhow. Are there any board games that you will not play because you feel that theme is immoral? Definitely. I don't usually talk about them that much, but there are some games I've been sent. Some of them quite, in my opinion, immoral. And I'm not going to give those games the time of day. I think some of them were sent to me as a joke. And I'm not really going to get into what I consider immoral because it's different for people. And every time I do, people are like, oh, I can't believe you thought that was bad or whatever. You can see that I review almost everything. What kind of books do I like to read? I already mentioned that. Sci-fi, historical fiction. I especially like historical, I don't know what the word for it is. What if fiction, you know. What if Germany had won World War II type stuff. I love that. I liked Robert Jordan's books, although I thought Brandon Anderson did a better job at finishing up the series. Finally finishing up the series. I spent a good chunk of my life reading through that series. Thought the ending was okay. Could have been better, but, you know, I don't know what we could have expected with the 2,000 characters. There were still many major deaths in the final book, and I was still trying to figure out who these people were. Couldn't remember half of them. Oh, backchan.nl is back? All right, you can go back there. But that's it. 3 strikes and it's out. Okay? So, last time. Did I really get rid of Agricola for Caverna? Yes, I did. But when I say get rid of a game, it goes on a pile of games. I have this big pile in my bedroom. These are games that I'm getting rid of. What do I do with it? There's 2 options. If you're in my game group, people come to my house and they get games from me. Or Dice Tower Convention. Those are the only 2. Do not email me and ask me to send it to you. Also, I stripped it of all the cool things I added to it and put back in regular pieces for it. It's still blinged out from regular Agricola, but not as nice as it was when I had it. So yes, I really did get rid of it. What do I do with damaged game components? I throw them away, or I try to fix them. What is this? Is it down again? No. Okay. Whew, almost had the 3rd strike there. What board game would I be most excited to see a new expansion for? Kemet. I would love to see the monster expansion for Kemet. I mean, I just got the expansion that lets you use the monsters from Kaikalades in it, but I'd love to see more stuff for that. Oh, also Cosmic Encounter. Most excited to see an expansion for that. What do I think is an underrated game mechanic? I mentioned it earlier in the show. I forget what it was. Where you draw a card and have to make a decision, and the decisions can have different consequences. A really cool one that did this was Starfarers of Catan, where someone else would draw the card and they would give you an option. And you would pick the thing you thought was better, but sometimes the cards were reversed, so sometimes the ship was a bad ship, etc. What do you think of time pressure mechanisms like Space Alert, Escape, Time and Space? Why are they so divisive? Because some people don't like that time pressure. These are the people who like to take a long time in games. Sometimes I like playing these time pressure games because they force people to go faster. Other times they just don't. Sometimes you just don't want that frustration on you. Space Cadets Dice Duel I like a lot. Other games, the time pressure not so much. All right, guys. I have to end this now because I don't want to take it too long, and I also want to rest my voice a little bit so I can get some reviews done for you all. I'll answer one last question. When's the Dice Tower Fun Kickstarter starting? And it's not Dice Tower Fun, just Dice Tower. Dice Tower Kickstarter will be starting very close to the beginning of January. I'm working on it now. We're getting the Dice Towers designed, getting all the different reward levels set up, and determining our stretch goals and all that jazz. So that will be starting. We'll be announcing it. Don't worry, we'll make a big deal about it, and we hope that you can back us because this has been a great year. I would hope that you think that this year we've seen a lot of changes in the Dice Tower and that we put out a ton of content, I hope, a ton of useful content. So hopefully we can continue to do that. Guys, I really appreciate you all coming on and asking questions. I'm really sorry for those of your questions I did not get to, but I will try to do this on a more regular basis, maybe every other week or so, until you guys get tired of listening to me talk. But until next time, you've been watching the Dice Tower, and I'm Tom Vasel. I'll see you next time. I click stop, so eventually it will stop, right? Will it stop? Did it stop? Now I click stop.